Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to the Sky to Be show. So today is story time again. I came across this story and had a great read on it. Just enjoyed it very much. So this is a story written by Tracy Folly, Folly. I get off Newsbreak, and it was a story that I read, and it's just a very short story that I like. I like to read these when they come up. But it's a story that when you're maybe halfway through, you are so mad at the guy and his sister for what they did. But then by the time the story ends, are you still mad at the guy and his sister for what they did? So to get right to it, let me bring it back up. Okay, so the title she has for her story is My Boyfriend's Sister Refused to Allow Him to Propose to Me on My Birthday. She said, You're not worth it. And Tracy Foley, of course, is the person that wrote it. Said this is a work of nonfiction based on actual events I experienced firsthand, used with permission. So to get to the story here, she says, I thought my first relationship would be my last relationship. Things were moving fast, and he was already talking about buying me a ring for my birthday. We had been together for less than 6 months. Still, it was true love, and the thought of getting engaged, no matter how quickly it was or how young we were, was exhilarating. I was all in. My boyfriend told me his plans as we walked hand in hand down the street. He said, I've decided to buy you an engagement ring. My sister and I went to the jewelry store, and I already have the perfect ring picked out. She said, I nearly swooned. It was unexpected. I was thrilled. I couldn't wait for my birthday. He even took me to a jewelry store once to find out what kind of rings I liked. Every ring we looked at was more beautiful than the last. Any one of them would have made me so happy I would have walked on air. I loved them all, I proclaimed. I walked out of the jewelry store with a smile on my face. One of those rings would surely be mine soon. Unfortunately, when my birthday arrived and my boyfriend handed me a large wrapped box, I knew immediately something was wrong. I tried to tell myself that tiny boxes fit into large ones, so there was still hope that there was a diamond engagement ring hidden within the paper and ribbons. Of a sinking feeling in my stomach told me that it wasn't so. I tore open the box. It contained a denim jacket. Where's the ring? I asked. You said you were buying me a ring. He shook his head. My sister said you weren't worth it. Wow. I mean, right there, right? The guy's sister said that this girl was not worth him getting engaged to her. Right there, if that was the end of the story right there, everybody would be like, well, this guy's the worst guy in the world. His sister's the worst girl in the world. And the other girl that didn't get the ring deserves all of our sympathy for life. Well, let's read on to the story. My future shattered in an instant. All dreams of a perfect little house with a white picket fence and a couple of dogs playing in the yard came crashing down. My boyfriend's sister had told him not to propose to me, and he listened. I didn't know what was worse, that my boyfriend's sister didn't think I was good enough to marry her brother, or that my boyfriend allowed her to convince him it was true. Okay, so let's stop there again. Um, so with all that story right there, you're definitely on the girl's side that didn't get the ring. You're wondering, what the heck? Why would his sister step in there and say she's not worth it? Why wouldn't the guy step up and say, I'm in love with her, she's worth it, and buy the ring? It's an engagement ring. Um, right there, you're on the girl's side that didn't get the ring. everybody's probably on her side right now. So, what is the cause of this? Let's move on and find out. And there's a couple different things that could happen. So, as she said here, I didn't know what was worse, that my boyfriend's sister didn't think I was good enough to marry her brother, or that my boyfriend allowed her to convince him it was true. Now, as an unemployed mother of two living in her childhood bedroom with a crib and a toddler bed, I would have expected her to have a little more empathy. Well, okay. So now a little bit has come into the vague picture here. So this lady has two young kids. Apparently, they're not his kids. The guy that was going to give her a ring. Um, it's understanding how his sister could be like, you might want to hold on a minute because you've only been dating a short time, 6 months. This lady has two young kids, must be very young because she's got a crib and a toddler bed. You have to think about what you're stepping into. And that's understandable. Anytime you're dating someone or want to propose to someone and they already have young kids, it's very tough. And where the father is, if the father's involved, all that other stuff. But it's a very stressful situation. And as she said, she's an unemployed mother of two. So where's this going to go with the two kids? And she's not working, so you're going to have to bring it in. There's a lot of questions there. So that's understandable, right? I mean, that kind of doesn't level the playing field, but it shifts it a little bit. Wouldn't you say? At least I would think so. Now maybe you're not as mad at his sister or at him, but let's see what else is happening. So it was disappointing. Furthermore, it was insulting, she said. My feelings toward my boyfriend and his family never recovered. We stayed together for another 6 months, but it wasn't the same. My resentment towards him and his sister grew until it was untenable. Finally, I left him, she said. So now she left him. Okay. She's mad about the situation. She left him. It's been a year, I guess, 6 months, 6 months. So, it's a tough situation. Did she leave him because she didn't get the ring? She couldn't. She didn't like that. She was not acceptable in her. I guess in her boyfriend's eyes, in her boyfriend's sister's eyes, she wasn't acceptable to be engaged to. That would be deflating, very much so. Even though you got two young kids, it's still deflating. I understand that, but let's see what else is happening. So she said, we reconciled briefly when he agreed to be my prom date, but we split again shortly thereafter. It was over for good. So now we're talking about prom date. So I don't know how old he is, but she's just graduating high school, which puts her at either 17, 18, 19 years old. She could be a little bit older, a little bit younger. So you're 17, 18, 19 years old. You got two very young kids. They're not his kids. And that's a crazy situation to get into. And if he's your age, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, that's a very hard life to say, let's start off this way. We'll have two very young kids to start our marriage off with. And I'm not working. And because she's just graduating high school. It doesn't say whether he's working or if he's just graduating high school or anything like that. But that is a tough situation to take on. So when you hear all of this about the two young kids, about she's just graduating high school, We don't know how old he is, as I said, but as a sister to him, did she do the right thing after all? To say, hey, wait a minute, pull the reins back? She never, I don't think she told him not to marry her yet, but I think she said now is not the right time. Uh, it's time to go into it more and everything like that. So if that's the case, she did the right thing. I mean, if that is one crazy relationship to get into with two very young kids, and you're just graduating high school. Um, wow, to start your life that way. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, can't say wow enough on that. So she says he would have been better off not mentioning proposing until he was sure. I guess that should have been true. That should be true right there. He if, but it says earlier that when he went to the jewelry store to look at the rings, he had his sister with him. Now, why didn't she say something then? Or did he not tell her that he was buying her a ring or he was looking at something else? But if he told her he was getting the ring for her, why didn't his sister say something then? Or did she say something then and he was hee-hawing about it and stuff like that? That could have stopped all that too. Uh, and, sometimes you fall in love real quickly and do things real quickly. She says, I never would have known the difference, and we all would have been happier for it, even his sister. Well, and that is true. Completely true right there. So I guess my question is, who's the bad guy in this relationship or the bad girl in this relationship? Is it the boyfriend for listening to his sister? Is it his sister? Or is it her because of the lifestyle that she was living at a very young age and having two very young children? Um, you add that all together, and it's a crazy mixed up relationship in a way. But it could have been handled from the beginning differently when he took his sister to the jewelry store. If he did tell her that he was buying her the ring, she should have stepped up then and said, "Wait, stop, hold it, wait. I know you like this girl. I know you love this girl, but pull the reins a little bit and just wait for a while, because then maybe they would have dated that extra year or extra 2 years, whatever the case may be, and got settled in. And if they still loved each other, even with everything going on, then there you go. You got time to see it. And we don't know how old he is, but if he was a high school student also, then yes, definitely it was a good idea that they did not get married right then and there. And even though they ended up breaking up, um, it still was a good idea not to get married right then and there. Plain and simple. But again, it could have been handled differently. Could have been handled better. So, I mean, a relationship like this with the two young kids, it's as an older man, I mean, now you can look back and go, yeah, don't do that. But when you're a young man and you think you can handle all this, so I think his sister did a good thing for that, but it could have been handled a lot better, a lot different. And tell me what you think. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I like these little stories these young ladies are putting out. Tracy Foley, she's a Newsbreak contributor. Look her up. She's got a lot of followers, does some good stories. And thank you for stopping by the Scotty B Show. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Who's in the wrong? Who's in the right? Nobody is. Nobody is. Just a sad situation all the way around in a way. God bless you. Have a great day, great night. We'll see you next time on the Scotty B Show.